So as you can see from the title here, I'm going to be looking at resources and opportunities for us as English teachers with this Didattica, distanza that is sweeping the non-classrooms of the moment. So the new classrooms being our houses and our kids' houses. So I want to look at different aspects of that. Hopefully share some ideas. We can share some experiences and find something useful to take away and use starting tomorrow. Just so that you know, I am recording this session. The recording is just going to be used. We're not going to be, making it putting it in the public domain. It will be available on the local Segnalibro website. That's the plan. If you want to request a recording, I will be able to send it to you by WeTransfer, because it will be quite a heavy file. I can hear a bit of noise in the background, so just a reminder, as it says on the slide, if you could mute your microphones. If not, I will try and do it for you. I should be able to do this as well, I think. Mute audio, mute audio. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, I'm going to go forward. I think I'm joined here by some of my colleagues. I think there is Michele Cascio. Tu ci sei, giusto?
Ci sono, se hai bisogno sono qui.
Ok,
ci sono.
Poi forse anche Marco Guidi, Barbara Casarini.
Ci sono.
Ok, saluti. Fabrizio Padovano non riesce a essere perché sta in un'altra riunione. So I'm going to go ahead.
Anzi, scusa Jim,
Dimmi.
Padovano saluta tutte le sue insegnanti. Saluto le insegnanti a nome di Padovano.
Sì, ok, grazie. Ok, andiamo avanti. Let's go here to the slide. So this is an overview of what I want to be looking at today. So the first part of the session is, you can see, some tips for teaching online, maybe some sharing of experience. We're in a kind of a bit of a quick learning curve, really. All of us, we've been thrown into this situation. So we'll have a look at some tips for teaching online. Going to look at some tools also for video conferencing. So how best to use this kind of setup. And then more specifically at resources, video teaching from the book. So whatever book you've got, whatever book you're using, how you can, rather than teaching from the LIM, as maybe lots of us are used to from the whiteboard, it's actually sharing the screen and the differences or the benefits of the situation in which we are. Then there are various other things you can see on this slide, such as Didastore, My English Lab. These are aspects of Pearson resources, which I'll explain briefly to you. And there are opportunities for your students, even independently of you using a Pearson book. So even if you're not using a Pearson book, you will be able to take advantage of these Pearson resources in these difficult times that we're teaching in. Digital library, we have a digital library which is free for all students during this particular coronavirus crisis, and I will explain about that. Libro Liquido and My App, and then other resources. Okay, I'm expecting this will take about an hour and 10 minutes in total. Depends on the questions, depends on the interaction. But if anyone needs to leave, then how can I stop you? But I hope it'll be useful for you. Okay. So the first thing I have for you is that the schools have been closed for some time now. So I'm just quite curious, really, about how's it going so far. So I'm going to open my chat box, and if you want to just write in the chat your immediate thoughts about how it's going so far, I'm quite interested to see what you're going to say about this. So I'm going to wait for somebody to type in for me on this. And we'll take it from there. Okay, so let's see if we've got someone that's going to break the ice by typing in. How's it going for you? Anybody? I did see a message earlier from Juliana saying surviving. I don't know if that's okay. Christina, thank you. Challenging, lots of hours on PC, but also positive aspects. Liz was scared, but really enjoy it now. Gianluca, we're coping. Alessandro, students' motivation is a main issue. Okay, interesting. Any other things coming through? Frustrating. Better than I thought, but sometimes frustrating. Yeah. Okay. Tiring. A lot of work. Interesting. So indeed, the fact of hard, time-consuming, Rossella, tests is the issue. Yeah, Gianluca, that's certainly a difficult one. Maria Chiara, sort of getting used to it. Students seem to enjoy. Right, great. Thank you for that. That's really useful to get that feedback. I think one of the most challenging things that you get is this situation of working from home, whatever your job is. So here's a humorous. I think this might be Chiara that has a microphone on. Chiara, if you could possibly put mute on, that would be helpful. Working from home as a parent is challenging the best of times, or if you live in a crowded situation, it can be tricky. But these are some of the issues that come across so far that that you may also have noticed. So it could be technological issues. It could be the fact that you're trying to give a lesson, but you have your partner who also needs the computer. You may have one or more kids who also need a device. You may have a Wi-Fi that's not strong enough. So it could be technological issues for us as teachers, as well as for our students. There could be a problem even in terms of space, physical space in the apartment, in the house where you live. Then it's the virtual class management I have on my list here. So by this, I'm referring to what somebody put in the chat, for example, about motivation, the student motivation, even student behavior. So students may be hiding behind the fact that they turn off their cameras. What's your principle? Do you have your students with the cameras on all the time? Do they take it in turns? Can they put their hand up, virtually in order to speak? So it's a very different dynamic that we're dealing with. And then also there's the digital divide. So you may be working with classes where some students just simply don't have the hardware available to participate fully in these online lessons. So that can be really tricky as well. So it's a question really of also finding the sort of activities and appropriacy within what we're trying to do. So I'm curious about what do you miss most, because I have spoken to a lot of teachers about what you miss. So maybe you want to just Christina, you're straight off there. So what do you miss most? You miss the relationship. So the relationship, I guess, with colleagues as well as with students. So the whole thing of going into school and meeting people. Okay. I'm just looking back on the chat, and I've got Gianluca saying, just discovered Google Grid View, not bad. Okay, so I don't know that, Gianluca, but I'm guessing from the sounds of it that it would be where you can actually see little thumbnails of all your students and keep an idea of it. Liz, dressing up in the morning. What do you miss most, dressing up in the morning? Why have you stopped dressing up in the morning, I would say? Do it anyway. Anybody else want to share what they miss? I think the physical kind of tactile, seeing the kids in front of you, being in the classroom, the continuous feedback from the class as a whole, says Alma, feedback from the students, Gianluca. Yeah, this is a typical situation that we really need in a teaching environment. Rossella, meeting my students and colleagues. Yeah, that's great. So, these are things that we miss a lot. Now, I don't want to make it all too negative. So my next slide here should hopefully, if I go on, what new skills have you learnt? So what have you learnt in this period? Now, for example, it could be using a particular platform. So the whole teaching online. What else have you learnt? Give me some feedback on new skills that you've learnt in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks. Georgia, using Moodle. Okay. So that's been a good opportunity. Christina as well, Moodle testing. Any other things? Video meetings, sharing screens, using Classroom, Teams. So we're across the board. I guess we're using different platforms. Alma, Moodle, Meets, and Teams. Using Teams is challenging, says Rossella. Preparing all kinds of virtual tests. Yeah. So there are new skills that we do need to need to learn. Exploiting digital books and sources. Christine, that's great, thanks. Okay, so here I think we've sort of set the scene a little bit for what we want to be looking at. So here are my objectives for what I want to look at, and I'm just going to clear this. Here, share some tips on teaching online, info about the video conferencing tools, a tutorial on how to use Pearson digital tools and other resources. That's my overview. Let's go here. Let's start with the tips for teaching online then. Here are the main words that I've got in red. So you can see I've got, for example, technology, find the right technology, and take time to learn how to use it. Okay, so I've understood that some of you, from what you were saying in the chat, some of you are using Teams, some of you are using the Google platforms, whether that's Google Meet. Some of you using Zoom, maybe, Skype, probably not, other platforms as well. So find it and take the time to learn how to use it. I've been using Zoom now for just over 2 weeks, and I'm kind of learning new little things every day. But I also use Teams quite a lot as well. So learning how to exploit it and make the best of the opportunities. Another tip for teaching online is expectations, so both for your students, for how they learn, but also how they behave in the online lessons. That's really important. Trying to build a sense of community online. This is going back to what I think it was Alessandro said about kind of motivation for the students. So feeling still they're part of a class. So you know, even with my kids, I have 2 kids, and they're both obviously doing their lessons from home, and they feel this kind of sense of isolation, and the idea of being able to go back to classes is something that they would really want to do, which is kind of nice for us to find them in that position, because we don't always have that as teachers. Managing your time carefully when you're teaching online, teaching from home, of course, finding the right moment in which you don't have bells ringing in terms of your preparation time, how you manage it. Collaborating with other teachers, we can learn so much from our colleagues. And here, this is an interesting point, I think, because we're now in a situation whereby we, as English teachers, can learn just as much from the teachers of other subjects, and vice versa. Normally, we will just talk to the English teachers, but here everyone's in the same situation of how to do a video lesson, how to manage online classes, etc. So we can learn a lot just from talking to colleagues of all the subjects. And then making the most of online resources, which was another thing that somebody mentioned in the chat. So that was already there. Now, I'm curious about how many of you have already used Zoom. So if you haven't used Zoom, I'm going to just quickly show you how you can do it. So if you see this bit here where it says you are viewing Jim Robinson's screen, you should see that on your screen right now. And if you go to that green bit on the screen, you can go to, it will move down, and you can click on annotate. If you click on annotate, you can then choose something from the list here. So whether it's draw or text where you type in. So I'd like you, please, I'm going to have a drink of water now, and I would like you to go to annotate. And if you can just all start doing something here on my screen, so I can see that you're participating and working. Oh, somebody started. That's great. I'm going to have a quick drink while I watch what you do. So remember, there are you try out the different things: drawing, typing with text, arrow, stamp. Have a look and see what we can do.
Vuoi il cambio, Jim?
Come? No, adesso è una pausa mentre vediamo che cosa succede allo schermo qua. Ho dato un compito collettivo.
No, ho visto. No, ti chiedevo il cambio, se volevi il cambio.
No, grazie. Ah, ok. So, quindi abbiamo anche il text. Qualcuno ha trovato? Ok. Excellent. Okay, there's also here. I can see the different things. Now, as a teacher, what I could do is I can go here and I can click on my annotate and I can delete everything. But you can imagine here, so if I have a class of, I don't know how many of this, oops, sorry, I've just clicked out of the thing. I apologize for that. I clicked on the wrong one. We have to start again. Sorry. There are 26 of us here, but you imagine if you, so this would be like a big class. Some of you may have 26 in a class. But if you could imagine that you have annotations from everyone connected, there could be a way that you get people to in the class to participate in this way. Molto creativi siamo qua. Belli. Okay. Thank you for that. I'm going to move on to my next slide, but I'm going to see the slide stays here. So adesso devo fare clear all drawings. Boom. Okay. Now that you've learned how to use this, adesso che avete imparato, vi chiedo di mettere una stella o un cuore nella colonna, in the column of the platform that you are using. Okay. So una, okay. Tutti però,
Sì, se fossi capace.
Chi è che parla? Posso aiutare io? È Alma?
Sì, I was disconnected while you were asking, and I come into the class again now.
You so can't see the class?
Yeah, I was out of the class when you asked to use the, yeah.
Okay, so you go up to where you see the green thing at the top of the screen, where it says,
yeah,
if you click on that, and there's a thing which says annotate.
Allora, okay.
Annotate.
Okay, yeah, I found it, okay.
If you click on annotate, then you can choose stamp. I can't remember the things now. Let's have a look here.
Stamp, draw, okay.
Text,
Nella,
type,
yeah.
okay.
And, okay. Okay, I think I have.
So it looks to me, like the majority of you are using the Google platforms, which is not surprising because there is like an agreement with lots of schools. So for the Google Education Suite, so you're doing very well considering this may be one of your first times on Zoom. But remember, this could be an option for you to try in other situations using Zoom. Okay, so here, doing an activity like this, I could get a feedback from my class on how well they are doing. I could ask all of the class, and they could personalize with this kind of annotation on a particular activity. So maybe if I'm showing the page of a book or something like that. Okay. All right, thanks for that. I'm going to clear all of your hard work now. Sorry, and I'm going to go on to the next one. So here we go. Finding the right technology and taking the time to learn how to use it. Well, Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, Skype, and other are all options for conferencing. Then we have publishers who across the board are offering different platforms with things for you to do. And then there are Moodle, which some of you already mentioned in the chat that you could look at. Expectations for learners and behaviors. So our students have had to learn how to behave in the virtual class. So presumably they are well behaved in the real class, most of them, yeah? And we can deal with that as teachers when they're all in one physical room. When they're online, all in their own houses and hidden behind cameras or the cameras switched off, it can be a bit trickier. So we need to show them how things work. We need to explain the activities, and we even need to consider the problem of bullying online and setting guidelines for behaviour. I want to share something which found on Facebook from a primary school teacher, but I think it's just a nice example of of things that she's done in terms of netiquette for students. I'll take advantage of this moment to tell you that all of these slides that I'm showing, we will send to you at the end, okay? So if you want to, if there's something that you like the look of, you will be receiving these slides later this afternoon or this evening, okay? But here is a nice example of netiquette for students. So, you know, puntualità. So the idea of, you know, the lesson still starts at 10 o'clock or 8:30 or 11 o'clock or whenever it is. There shouldn't really be any excuse for being late coming into a virtual classroom. And yet our students still manage that. Cibo, so the idea of eating during a lesson. You may think you can sort of sneak out of the camera shot and have a piece of cake or something, but it's not really the done thing. So this is something which I think is a nice idea. Taking turns to speak, and definitely not taking any videos or photos or anything like that. Okay. Other tips to consider would be building a sense of community. So the tools that you might use to interact with your students, video conferencing being the best one. Find out how you can share presentations, websites, audio and video via internet, and maybe even have a group on Facebook or WhatsApp so you can quickly share updates with students or with parents or with colleagues in the school. So these are all things which are useful. Mary raised a hand. Are you just trying out the tools, Mary, or do you want to ask something? Mary? No. Okay, maybe just trying out the tools, no problem. Managing your time carefully. Be conscious of your own time and energy limits. We all have other responsibilities. Turn off notifications and find a time to speak to students and stick to it. So this idea of managing our time is really important. Michele, io vado, c'è qualcosa nel chat che devo guardare? Qualcosa è arrivato?
Aspetta che verifico, scusami.
Allora, Mary, I can't hear. Io non so perché non riesce a sentire. Everybody else, I think, can hear me. Is that right? I'm not sure how to do that. Yeah, everyone else is replying.
Tu la vedi, Jim, la chat? Tu la vedi la chat?
Sì, adesso
Jim,
lo vedo, l'ho aperto, ma non è sempre aperto, quindi devo andare a vedere.
Ok,
allora,
anch'io sai, devo andare a vedere. Ok.
Ti chiedo, Michele, di scrivere, perché Mary ha detto che non si sentiva, magari di uscire e rientrare, forse è quello la cosa.
L'ho già comunicato, infatti ho detto di riprovare, mi ha detto che ha già provato più volte.
Ok,
quindi...
grazie. Ok, vado avanti, problem solved. So,
okay.
Collaborate with other teachers. This is back to what we said before about careful about feeling isolated. So sharing ideas with colleagues in a group. I've never had so many meetings. I have meetings every day. I know you have lessons with your kids practically every day, but I have lots of meetings and presentations in the same way. So this idea of sharing things is really important, and even sharing resources like PowerPoint lessons. I'm going to give an example now. Here you can, down the bottom, you can maybe see there's just a screenshot of a PowerPoint. So let's have a look at how easy it could be to share in chat. So if I go here, let's go here and find an example. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Don't worry if you can't see my screen. I'm going to go to a link, and I'm going to find in the chat, just talk you through what I'm trying to do. So if you need to, if I click on File, I go to my computer, and I'm now going to share with you. Wait a second. PowerPoint, Unit 4. Sending. Okay, so if everyone now looks in the chat, hopefully you can see. Let's see if you can find it. I'm going to open the chat, I hope. Ok, perché non vedo più il chat? Here we go. Michele, tu mi senti ancora, giusto?
Scusa Jim, sono con una prof al telefono, perdonami.
Ah, c'è telefono.
Allora,
Sì, Jim, si sente.
Si sente? Ok, grazie.
Si sente, si sente.
Okay, so I've just if you can see in the chat, there is a file which is a PowerPoint. So here, this is just an example of resources that you can share directly from in the chat of a platform. Okay, so let's go back in, see if I can do it this way. Okay, yeah, I've got it now. So what I did is I just copied, uploaded into the chat a particular PowerPoint. That's an example of a PowerPoint presentation taken from a first certificate book. It's just a random example, but imagine if you want to send things to students when you're doing an online lesson, you know that they immediately can receive things in the chat of the platform that you're using. Okay. Other things for making the most of online resources would be learning what platforms and materials are available to you. You could talk to your local agent, or you could contact me. And then here are some examples of what we have with Pearson. So there is a special web page which is called Kilometro Zero, and then there are other things connected with Pearson materials which we're going to look at. Okay. Here's some quick links. This is the Kilometro Zero page of Pearson, and there is also My English Lab. Right. On the Kilometro Zero page, this is one thing to point out to you. It could be worth going to have a look at. There are very short, simple videos done by an American professor called Ken Beatty, and he's got some nice little YouTube tutorials on teaching online. So some little tips. I'm sure you've learned so much in the last few days that you may not need these, but if you do want to have a look, there could be some nice examples of things there for you. Okay, I've stopped sharing just in case you're worried, and I'm going to now ask you all please to, anyone that wants to, could you please put on the video so I can see you, because I'm going to ask you all to stand up. Okay, so I'm going to stand up like this. You can still see me. Okay, here, and I want you just to, we spend too much time kind of, I can hear somebody shouting for their kid, so that's good. Okay, this is a quick kind of comfort break. Okay, when you get over 50, you kind of need to do this, otherwise you get all the crooks in your neck. Okay, thank you. I hope you did that. I trust you. I saw some people doing it, so thanks. And we'll come back, and I'm looking now here at the chat. Liz says, can you please show again the references for Kilometro Zero? Yep, I can do probably even better than that if I go here. I think somebody needs to turn off the microphone.
Sì, chiudete il microfono cortesemente.
Okay. Liz, in the chat, I've put the reference there for you for the Kilometro Zero. Okay. I'm going to mute a few people, which I think I can do. Okay. So we're back here. I'm going to show the screen, share, and go back here. Okay. So video conferencing tools, Zoom, Hangouts, Meet, Teams, Skype, no problem. What can we do? We can present course materials, we can give instructions, we can even do small group work and plenaries, we can speak to learners, we can share files, we can chat. How do you do video lessons from the book? Well, it's the same principle as a whiteboard. So you're just sharing your screen. Okay, so in this case, with Zoom, which is the platform we're using today, there is one important thing which you need to do. And here, I don't know if you can see this arrow. So this is like a preview on Zoom. Before I share the screen, I should click. There's a button here which says Share Computer Sound. Okay, so you imagine a lesson. If I now go online, and if I go into a book, let's go into a book here, like this one. So I'm going live online. Hopefully it's going to load up quickly, and I'm going to go to a particular section. So this is a book. I go to Unit 4. Okay, and I don't know if you can see now. If I go here, sorry, that's too big. Go here. Okay, so here I have. Let's go here. Here I have a listening. If I click here on the listening and down the bottom, can you hear this or not? Can you hear the recording? Si sente la registrazione?
No.
No. Because
No,
what I didn't, no, benissimo, perfetto. What I didn't do is non ho fatto quello che ho predicato prima.
You didn't click. Yeah, you didn't tick the box.
So now I stop sharing, I go back, I share the screen, and now I click share computer sound. Share. Adesso ci risiamo. E adesso faccio.
Do you like to live in Carrot House?
Adesso si sente, giusto?
Well, I can see the advantages. It's
okay. So you can see it's much easier when you're trying to play a video or a listening that you're incorporating the computer sound, because otherwise you'll be in a situation where you're maybe holding your phone to the microphone or playing something else, and the quality is really not very good. Okay, so this is an important thing to remember how to do. Okay, this would be the best way to use in terms of sharing a book. Then you're actually using the same book or whatever you want to call it for your course, and you're just sharing it on the screen in the same way that you would be projecting on a whiteboard at school. So here I can just show you some images which give you an idea of a particular situation, whereby you can see some icons. If I go here, can you see the difference? This is going back and forwards. What's the difference between the two screens? Can you see a couple of differences? I'm going to look in the chat just to see if Gabri, do you know how the computer sound works on Teams? I don't actually, but I wonder, we can open that up to the group. I've very successfully found that with Zoom it works very well, but maybe some of your colleagues know. If not, I would try. There's probably a YouTube simple tutorial which would tell you how to do it.
Thank you.
Okay. And with Meet, well, lots of your colleagues, Juliana, are using Meet. So is there the similar button on Meet? I ask anybody else using Meet, do you have like a share computer sound? If anyone wants to just take the microphone. Anyone has?
I don't know if it's default or not, but when I show them the book online, they seem to just work. So when I have my microphone on working, then they simply can listen to anything.
Okay.
It's default.
So it's like it's default that the
it looks like.
Eleanor is saying the same thing in the chat actually. So there's your answer, Juliana. It goes automatically with the microphone, so it integrates the two, I guess. Georgia, I don't use any button, but the students can listen well to the listening of the digital book. So yes, that would confirm there is no. So with Zoom, you need to make sure you click it. With Meet, it seems to be automatic. So problem solved, I would say. Okay. Just to quickly show you then here the difference between these two slides were. Here, this one has, I don't yet have the answers on the page, and I also don't have the listing. So if you go down here, can you see this red arrow? When I click here, it brings up the bar like we had before to do the listing. And if I click on this yellow button here, then I can show the answers to every exercise. So certainly in terms of clarity when you're using a book, especially for online, in the same way the benefit of using a whiteboard in class, if I jump to here, this is me live again. So you can see if I go to this exercise 11, which I hope you can see. Christina, can you nod your head because I can see you? Yeah, okay, good. I just click, can you see? I can click here and I can show the answers, or I could click here and I can show them all together or take them out. So I could put them all in and then take out number 4, for example. So this, of course, makes it really easy to share with the class when you're correcting. So even when we're back in classes, whenever that will be, you know, on a whiteboard situation, we'll be able to do that. Okay. So using a book can be really helpful. This is just to give you an example. This is taken from a workbook section. It's the same course book. It's into focus, but again, for correcting homework, I could use this in the same way. Okay. You see, I've just put an arrow here to number 3 because I've taken out the answer to number 3. So the fact that you can personalize this in any way you want. Okay, I'm going to go quickly because I think I'm going a bit too slowly, but want to share a video on another platform. So here's an example of something which could be useful. So let's say that you have access to a Pearson digital book, and you want to use a particular video even with another class that doesn't have that book, or you want to use resources. Then what you can do is you can just go into the book, and then you can go into the resources part, which is this symbol here, resource of the diamond. It opens up this bit here, and you could open up and you could choose a particular video. So maybe a BBC video or a grammar video, and you decide you want to use it. So I'm going to show you what it would look like first. It would look, when you open up the resources, you have this very long, difficult to read because it's small, but it's a very long URL. All you would need to do is just to select all, copy that, which looks like this, and then you could send it in the chat or in a WhatsApp group, or put it into your Moodle or whatever you want to do. So I'm going to try and show this to you live. If I jump back out, and here I am live into focus. If I click on resources, can you see here I have videos, I have interactive exercises. If I drop down here, I can look at a particular unit. So if I go to unit 4, and then I would go to, let's go to the grammar video, which I open up, and it will hopefully even give me the possibility of starting. Can you hear that? So I can just pause that. I can select all of this, copy. And now, if I go to the chat, let's see if this comes through. Boom. It's a very ugly looking URL, but if you, in the chat, if you click on that, it should open up a video in another part of the browser, and you could watch this particular grammar video. Maybe somebody just wants to help me and try and confirm that it works for them, even if you don't watch all of it, obviously, but it's just opening up for you.
It works.
It works.
It
Brilliant.
works.
Thank you, thank you. So you can see here, I can jump forward in this video just to show you. This is a grammar video. You could imagine using this in a class. You could actually click down the bottom here, and you could add in subtitles. Don't know if you can see that. And you could also go here, click here, and it goes full screen. So
Where are you going?
I'm going to get some milk.
Okay, and I could go forward, and then I have the grammar
Some examples
teacher.
from the discussion about the camping trip. They illustrate the main uses of each of the 3 forms.
Okay, so I'm going to stop that now because there's too much going on. I've got too many things open probably. Let's just go back to where I was before, I hope. No, so I come out of here. Okay, so that would be an example. We've seen examples of how you can share PowerPoints, how you could share videos, and this is my reference for looking in the chat box because I've now copied and pasted and you telling me that you've received that and it works. That's great. Let's moving on. Other resources you could look at it would be in Didastore. Didastore is like a kind of a resource hub. It's a training center which is called Palestra in Didastore, and there is also a virtual class there that you could do. Didastore would look like this for your students. Once they go in, they can see Archivio, they can see Ascolti, and they can see Palestra. Basically, in Archivio, you have a whole series of resources, which could be videos, listenings, PDFs of activities, different things that you could either just take from Didastore and put into the platform you're using. So if you're using Moodle, if you're sending something through, even through the electronic register, you can do it. Ascolti is just listening of Pearson books, which you could download as MP3 files and send if you want to do a particular extra listening. And then Palestra is online practice, mainly grammar practice, which you could also assign through a learning management system. We have, as I mentioned at the beginning, we have opened this up now. Didastore is completely free for all teachers and all students in Italy during this coronavirus situation. So these links here, which will be on the slides, or if you go to the Pearson website and just look, it's very high profile. Go to Didastore Docente. It will show you how to create your account of Didastore and to give instructions to your students. So once you do that, you could actually get your students maybe to watch a particular video about Edinburgh, give them a worksheet to do with that, different things like that. Here you've got an overview of what's inside. So as students inside, they can see all of the material in the archive, in the Archivio. Palestra, which says, as you can see, the esercizi, attività interattive, didattiche. Area docente and guida docente, of course, the students can't access that. That's just material for you, which would include tests, the teacher's book as PDFs, that kind of thing. And then the listenings. So all of this material, it could be easily used and taken across. So here are some examples from the archive. This is just a screenshot. So you can see here I have a video about Cambridge or the Cotswolds or Edinburgh or a couple on London. And there's also a practice level PDF worksheet. So I could either download the video, which I don't think I have a screenshot of. I could download the video and then put it onto another platform. Let's see if I go to my here. Go to this. This is me in my Pearson place. Okay, so this is my account. I tuoi prodotti digitali. Se questo non è familiare, Michele o Barbara o Marco o Fabrizio vi possono aiutare con materiale. And here, with a particular book, any Pearson book, so I'm using Interfocus, I could go into Didastore. And inside Didastore, you will see I have, as a teacher, these different things. Archivio, Ascolti, Palestra, but also Area Docente, Guida Docente. Archivio opens up. We're looking live now. So you imagine, mi interessano I video di civiltà. Here I have one on Cambridge, the Cotswolds, Oxford, Stonehenge, and then I have some on the USA. So Boston, LA, a couple on New York. National parks in the US. So what you could do is you could click, I don't think this is going to work in terms of my video feed, but let's just try. Ho fatto una prova ieri, era troppo lento. Proviamo se fa vedere questo video. I think the upload might be a bit too... Vuole partire e poi si ferma, giusto? Okay, non ci provo neanche. If you can see, this is the start of a video, and here, what I could do is I could click here, and I could download this video. This is like a 5-minute video about the Cotswolds, so it's a documentary. I can click to download it, and then I could share it on the platform that I'm using. Okay. Similarly, I could also go here and have activities that go with the video. So here, this I could again download share, or I could just do it in a video lesson. I could ask you to tick next to this by annotating, like we did before. Okay. Any questions? C'è qualcosa nel chat, Michele?
Sì, Jim, sì.
Okay,
c'è una domanda,
allora,
vai a leggere?
leggo io, giusto?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Can we download the readers available on the Focus ebooks? Yes, you can. And I have other things that I can do with, tell you about readers. So I'll show you that a bit later. Okay, Gianluca. I'm going to go back, I think, here to my screenshots and take away the chat. Ecco qua. So this is the home page for Kilometro Zero, and this is just like a screen grab. And then if you go there, you will see different resources, etc., for you to help you in this situation. Then quickly, My English Lab. My English Lab is something which we have for some of the Pearson courses, and this does a little bit more in terms of online practice, because this is something which allows students to have feedback. So therefore, for you as teachers as well, you get this kind of second opinion, if you like, to see how your students are doing, and lots of data is available to you in order to see how your students are doing. So when you look at, for example, into Focus, these are the different resources I have, and this is My English Lab. So with My English Lab, I could click here, and I could go into a portal where I could create my own virtual classroom. And here I could then choose particular activities, which, can you see here, assegna. So you can assign exercises which are automatically corrected. So here the big benefit is the fact that you are giving extra homework, if you like, or it could be potenziamento, it could be exam preparation, it could be recupero, or whatever you want it for. But you don't have to correct the material yourself. So this, maybe you are inundated with photos that your students are sending you of workbook pages or something, which is a nightmare. Here, the system will collate it and correct it for you. So here is an example of a completely fictitious class. I'd like you to, which student do you think is the worst student in this class? I have 10 students. Can you tell me, can you maybe use the annotate? Can you put an arrow by the student which you think is the worst student?
Girotti.
Girotti, or remember it has, yeah, you can tell me as well, but I want to see, I say Girotti, someone's Ferri, okay, any others? Girotti, yeah, Girotti, most people, Ferri, okay. So obviously this could be open. Thanks for your help on this. This is open to interpretation. I'm going to just clear your annotations now, because a few considerations. Oh, and someone's voting for Mickey Mouse as well. Okay, so I think Mickey Mouse is potentially the worst student. I would agree, because actually Mickey Mouse, if you look, first of all, that's obviously not his or her real name, so he or she is not abiding to the rules, if you like. And as somebody is circling for me, in fact, this student has only done 4 of the 35 exercises assigned. So you see, completed. So whilst the score is better than Girotti or Gatto or Ferri, which some of you were suggesting, you see Girotti, for example, she has tried to do a lot of exercises. Maybe she's done some of the exercises that were more challenging. So the point being, you have a lot of data. This is just an overview, and then what you could do is you could dig in and see all of the data on the system. So this is just to give you a quick look at what's available. Okay. Moving forward, another thing that this system offers is what's called this common error report. So if you wanted to, you can actually look and see on one particular exercise which is a common error that my class of 25 kids are making. So it might say number 7 20 kids got number 7 wrong. So in a way, you could actually then flag up to yourself as a teacher, where do you need to go and help them. So it's going to save you time in the correction process as well. Okay. So very quickly, in terms of sort of an overview for My English Lab, you could use the common error report. You could maybe gamify in some way by checking which students are working the hardest, because the system will even report on how much time a student spends on the system. So there's a lot of detail which you may not want to use, but you could have access to, and you can check how they're doing online. My English Lab will also allow students to record their voices, and you could listen to their speaking. So when you have a speaking exercise, the students online with a microphone at home would record, and then you could listen and give them a mark. Okay, so the automatic correction exercises are not obviously for writing and speaking, but they are for all of the grammar, vocabulary, and the reading and the listenings. Okay. If you want to know more, then contact myself after this, or your local agent, or we can send you some support guides. And this is a very handy support website. Maybe I should copy this into the chat straight away, because here you have the opportunity to have support both in English and in Italian. So here we go. Let's see if I can find it in the chat. And I've just opened the chat so I can see Chiara. Is it possible to have a score for each student at the end of each unità, end of each unit? Yes, it is. Absolutely. You can. The detail is quite frightening, almost, of how much you could see. You can go and see individual exercises, individual students, either as a unit, or as I said, one particular exercise, or even one answer within the exercise. So it's a big and important system which allows you to go in and do it. Okay, that's the support thing I've put in the chat for you. You can change the support language into Italian if you want parents or students to sort of help set something up. There's a support for you as a teacher or for your students, and there are support for different Pearson digital resources. So you need to look for what one you're interested in, whether it's My English Lab, Pearson English Portal, or whatever. Okay. Right, I haven't got long to go, and you've been very patient. Is everyone doing okay so far? Are you still with me? Can you stay with me another 10, 15 minutes? Let me just see in the chat if everyone's okay. Yep, thank you, Alessandro, Elena, Giovanna, great, okay. Yep, great, okay. All good. So this could be interesting for you if you haven't already received this. This will be another thing that we can send to you afterwards. This is a digital library which is free for all students. So this is nothing to do. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to be using a Pearson book. You can just use this and give it to your students. So we have it's a generic library with graded readers. So here we go. This is the login that you need, but everything is explained on this PDF, which we will send to you. Or maybe, again, the chat seems to be working quite well for sharing a file. So I'm going to try and share this as a file straight away, and then we can also send it to you after the session. So here you go. Boom. This is putting a PDF in the chat box. And I will also include this other PDF, which for those of you that have young children, or if you just need lower level, so not necessarily for your students, but just to passing on to colleagues who teach in primaria or maybe prima media, there is a primary. So there are 2 different PDFs I've sent in the chat box, okay? Those PDFs are what you see now on my slide, and there are 3 things just to talk you through. So there is a code in this red arrow, this long code. You would need to just copy that when you create an account. So when your students create an account, these are the titles of the graded readers that we have in our library. And then down at the bottom, written in Italian, are the instructions for students or parents in terms of creating this thing. It's a very simple process. So when you follow what is indicated with the blue arrow, basically it will take the students to a website which looks like this. So here, sign in. You don't sign in because you haven't. You may sign in because you may have an account, but your students certainly might not. So they would create an account. They can change the language up here to Italian. They can create an account. It just asks for an email, a username, and they create their own password. And then they can unlock the graded reader material of the library. And that's what it would look like. So it would say Eccoci di nuovo. That would be for the students. They would see this folder, and inside the digital library, they could then get graded readers. This is an example of a graded reader. This is a Mr. Bean. You can see graded reader. And here you will see, I'm going to try and show this to you live in a minute, but in the top right, you will see here where you can change the size of the page, and then you can also, if you see this play button here, you can also listen to the book. So let's try and do this now real time. If I go to this, I go to my account of Pearson Place, and then I try and find my digital library. I hope you can all still see my well, this is a primary one. Let's just do this one. Christina, I can see you. Can you nod your head? Can you see where I'm sharing the screen? Is it, yeah? Okay. So if I go, this is the primary one, so it's not secondary, but the principle is the same. If I go to Butterflies and Frogs and the Jungle Book, Sherlock Holmes, let's just click on this one, and it's going to open up into like a folder which contains my my books. And here, in fact, I think it's gone straight to the book. So here I could turn the page like this, or I could go here and I can maybe go to a particular part of the book, or I can go here. Can you see? And then, for example, I can change to have one page rather than double page. I could also make it a bit bigger, and then I could press play.
The League of Redheads.
Can you hear this? I can't remember if I clicked.
One day, I found my friend Sherlock Holmes with a large...
You can even pause and you could jump forward. If I go to play, I think I can...
Wilson showed us an old advertisement.
And I can go back.
One day, I found my friend.
So, you know, a digital library that you could, read and listen to for all of your students just by using that that PDF that I've sent there. Two different PDFs, remember. One is primary and one is a generic secondary. I hope that answers the question from before about the readers that are connected with some course books as well. Libro liquido, really quickly, libro liquido. Here's a quotation from somebody. I didn't read a book until I was 31 years old when I was diagnosed with dyslexia. Books terrified me. They made me nervous. Any idea who this was? No time really because we're running late. I'm just going to tell you it was Henry Winkler, the Fonz. Here you go. One of the many famous dyslexic people. Amazing for an actor, really. You think about learning lines and everything. But anyway, terrified of books. I'm going to use an analogy here. Can you just tell me what you see here in the picture? Can you write in the chat? What do you see here? I'm going to open up the chat so I can see that somebody's writing. Taxis. Yep, very good. 2 cabs. Thank you. Great. What do you see now? It's just another cab, isn't it? It's another taxi. It's another taxi, but it's got a wheelchair and it will allow the wheelchair to go in. So it will cater for a particular need, so a special need, but it's a taxi. So if I do not have motory or mobility problems, but if this taxi arrives for me, it will quite happily take me to the station or wherever I need to go. So this is a taxi that works for everybody. So here we're talking, if you like, about something which is which is inclusive. Okay, so my analogy here is with regard to the Libro Liquido. So the Libro Liquido, for those of you that don't know, is an e-book for students. That's what it is. It has a funny name, if you like. It's calls itself a Libro Liquido, but it calls itself a Libro Liquido for a reason, because it is liquid. It will transform, and therefore it is more inclusive. So if you want to have a look at how this works, you can access it from anywhere. You can use even a smartphone. If you try and look at a normal ebook on a smartphone, it's a nightmare because you have to make it big. You can't see what you're doing. The Libro Liquido will adjust to the device. You never have to go outside the screen, and you can change the font. So this is the kind of thing that you and your students need to know. If you're using a Pearson book, then your students will probably have this functionality already, and maybe they haven't taken advantage of it. So what can you do with a Libro Liquido? You can change the font, you can change the text size, you can change the background color. You can make it all capitals if students prefer to read in all capitals. You can zoom in. You've even got inbuilt text-to-speech, you know, your sintesi vocale. I don't know if I spelled that right. And you can change the audio speed, okay? The screenshot, it would look like this. This would be a page of a book normally. This is the fixed layout. So you imagine looking at this on a smartphone, it would be a nightmare. It's impossible. I mean, I'm already wearing glasses looking at a computer screen. This is what it looks like here in a Libro Liquido. So it's taking the same content, but it becomes a scrollable thing. And if you look here, this is just a screenshot showing you functionality where I can change here the font. So I can make it alta leggibilità, I can make it capitals, I can make it bigger, and I could then highlight and say, mi leggi questa parte qua. So here you have an ebook, which if I don't suffer from dyslexia, I wouldn't necessarily be bothered about certain kinds of this functionality. However, for our students that do have this situation, it's incredibly useful. And if I show you how it works live, let's try and find this live online. Just in just a few minutes, let's go back to my Interfocus. Here we go. So here I have my Libro Liquido of Interfocus. So this is a student's product. This is them looking at the book. So il mio libro è a casa di mio padre. My parents are separated, so I can access, I'm with my mum today, I can access my book through the Libro Liquido, for example. I could go here, I could choose a unit, and I can have a look at a page. And here you have a particular part of the book. So here, this might be a bit too small. I can just go down here and I can say, make this bigger, make it bigger, make it bigger, make it bigger. And it will never go outside the screen. It just adds in another line. If I say, I prefer alta leggibilità, capital letters, I prefer, oh no, I don't like capital letters, no. I like a black background. So you can change things around as you want. And you could even ask the book by selecting and going leggi. Yeah.
What is unique about the place in the video?
Okay, she sounds a bit sad because it's, you know, sort of artificial intelligence. It's not a really kind of enthusiastic thing, and I think we can work on that in the future. But the point is, here you have a book which it will read absolutely everything. It will jump from Italian to English. It will read the workbook. It will read everything. You might want to add in a little, you know, annotation and note as a student to, you know, to help you remember something for studying. You could also even go here and you can change the color when you're highlighting a part of the thing, or you could say, can you read it to me more slowly, please? And click here, slow. I don't know if you see the pop-up here. So I can actually change the settings and then do it again and read it like this. Okay.
What is unique about the place in the video?
Yeah, she sounds like she's been stuck inside for too long, I have to say. But I kind of understand that situation. That's the Libro Liquido. There. So if you do have a Libro Liquido with a Pearson book, do take your time to explain to your students whatever book you're using by whatever publisher. We're probably in a situation now where our students finally finally are going to start looking at the digital components that they have, and most books will have good, decent digital components. So this is a chance, if you like, for all publishers to finally be redeemed in the fact that, you know, with a book, when parents buy the book at the beginning of the academic year, they're not just buying a book, they're buying a course, and the course means interactivity, it means video, it means audio, and with Pearson, for example, Libro Liquido, it means also special needs support integrated. Okay. My app Pearson, this is super quick. Here you go. For a digital divide situation, you may have a situation whereby students say, Prof, io c'ho solo il CD, ma non c'ho un lettore CD. Yeah, how am I supposed to listen to this? My app is the easiest way to do it. So, for example, this is from inside a Pearson book. This is from Engage B2, and you can see this is like Unit 7, Unit 8. It's very small. You can't read it. Don't worry. The point is you have a QR code here for every unit. Okay, so when you go here, the students just click on the QR code, and they see. With the app of their smartphone, they can open up and they can see the video. There's no password, there's no protection. You can share this QR code with anybody. And they can immediately watch the video like they are here. Can you see down the bottom? If I could also add here subtitles. Or they could do a listening. So this is a B2 book. There is a long listening. It's over 4 minutes. And I can also change the speed of the listening. So imagine where you have students who say, Prof, non si capisce niente, si mangiano le parole, parlano troppo veloce, non capisco niente. You can say, don't worry, slow it down, listen, and when we feel more confident, put it back to the right speed, and you're there. Okay. If you want to know more about the My App, there's a link here which you'll get as well. I'm conscious of time, and I might be outstaying my welcome. So here you have a kind of a recap of the My App. I wanted to say that if there's anything that you've seen here or any sort of digital material, then do ask your agents, Michele, Barbara, Marco, Fabrizio, possono attivare, giusto? Confermate qualunque libro Pearson se volete vedere, aiuto su Dida Store per le risorse, eccetera, eccetera. There's my email here. Qui c'è qualcosa nel chat che devo guardare? Aspetta un attimo che apro.
Sì, c'è una domanda di prima, Jim.
Okay, Gianluca, is it the same as e-book? Okay, no, e-book is, I think you're referring to, so if the question is referring to Libro Liquido, then e-book is fixed layout, Gianluca. So it's exactly what you see on the page. So this is better for using on the whiteboard or for screen sharing, because at least the students recognize what they see on the page and on the screen or on the whiteboard. The Libro Liquido transforms according to the screen, so it's better to use. Alma, it's so useful for my ipovedente student. Exactly. So the Libro Liquido, you can make it big. Eleanor, I have to go. Thank you, Jim. Very interesting. Yeah, great. Okay, is this app available for all the Pearson books? For the most recent ones, Gianluca. So it kind of depends what book you're, maybe if you want to write to me or your agent, we can do it. Alessandro, can teachers access the digital version of their Pearson teachers books? If so, how? Depending on the book. Okay, here's a quick one. Maria Chiara, I have to go. Thank you. Bye. Right, so this is for Alessandro. Just start. I can stay for longer, but I'm gonna start trying to answer questions by showing things live. So, Alessandro, here you go. Imagine this book here, Guida Docente. If I go to Guida Docente, it will actually give me a list of books. So some books, Engage B2, or Engage with Your Future, Into Focus, see teaching notes. I can open this up. And I have the notes as a PDF. It will just open it, I hope. Okay, it's taking a bit of time to load up this page because it's about 30 pages. But you imagine, Alessandro, this is hopefully answering your question. If I want to leave my teacher's book in a normal teaching situation, I want to leave my teacher's book at home, and go to school, or now if my teacher's book I've left at school and I need to see it, then here I can access, can you see these are the teacher's pages as just as a static PDF, which I can download and keep on an iPad, on my computer at home, or whatever. I hope that's answered the questions. Are all books uploaded on My Pearson Place, or do I have to upload them? You need to request, Alessandro, you need to request the books from your agent. So it depends on the book you're interested in, okay? Gli agenti assegnano. Ecco qua. I'm just going to finish by, can I ask for some extra students' codes? 2 or 3 of them have damaged ones. Yes, contact your agent, Christina. I'm just going to finish by saying that we're going to send you, we have a new handy little guide to teaching online, which is a PDF. It's about 10 pages. It has some nice tips, some of which we've looked at today. And I wanted to share with you, just as a way of finishing. I hope you're going to like this. These are 2 YouTube things, just as a bit of light relief. Okay. Sente? Michele, sente?
Well, you can tell by the way I watch my head. My friend won't take no chance. Toilet paper, latex gloves, I've been ready for this since I was born, and now it's alright, it's okay.
The other one to share with you is this one here. I hope you like that one. Sorry, go back here. This one. Lots of parodies going on just as a way. Here, I think I'm going to get an advertisement, and then I can go to the...
Hi, I'm... Quiet.
Here we go.
Hello, it's me.
So it's a parody of the Adele song. Just as a bit of light-hearted relief, there are so many jokes going around on social media that I thought you might enjoy that as a last-minute thing. Here's the link to our website. I'm going to stop sharing and come back into the room and see if anybody's left. Still some people here. Oh, that's good to see. Okay. So any other questions I don't think have come through. So I think all remains for me to say is stay well. Tutto andrà bene. Everything's going to be all right. And we'll hopefully be seeing you in schools in the near future. If you need any help from Pearson, you can contact me directly, or as I said before, your agent. I'm just seeing a question here. How do we download the left? The left? How do we download the left? Not sure what that's referring to. Maybe if you write to me and I can help you out with that thing. Okay. Thanks everybody. Have a good time. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Oh, the booklet. The booklet will be sent to you. The booklet will be sent to you. Bye bye.